What's up, guys, and welcome back to my first video of 2023. Hope you guys had a fantastic Christmas and a fantastic New Year. Now, as you guys were expecting, a glory hunter, I apologise. Tottenham are fucking shit. Let's get into it. So, basically, it's New Year's Day. It's currently 4:10 as I'm recording this. I didn't get up till about 5 minutes before the Spurs game kicked off after New Year's Eve celebrations yesterday. Only to wake up and lay there in bed watching Spurs lose embarrassingly to Aston Villa. I'm going to talk about the game. I'm going to talk about Conte's record and why that's on the screen and why I think now is the time to make a change for Tottenham. Now, let's talk about the game first. It was sideways passing. It was left passing, right passing. Kane I don't think he had a shot the entire game. Son's, I think his main shot was just a free kick, which hit straight at the keeper. Kane can't hit a barn door to save his life. Son can't hit a barn door. Son scored 3 goals all season. It's genuinely woeful. It really is woeful. And I'm really, like, I love Conte as a manager. I love the way he plays. And I'll get into why, despite that record not being that bad, about why I think, for me, we should still get rid of him. But that record doesn't include today's game, by the way, before anyone shoots me. Just can't honestly comprehend and understand why we're sticking with the same system. I get Conte plays through the back, but there are so many other ways you can play a back three without having the same repetitive bullshit. I thought Brian Hill looked okay, and I thought Doherty looked okay at times. But other than that, Longley was all right. But other than that, we were shit. Lloris, you're a club captain. How are you making stupid mistakes? So Spurs, in our last, 4 or 5 games, have conceded 5 goals from individual errors. And 3 of them are our fucking captain. It's pathetic. I don't understand it. I know Lloris has won the World Cup. But even in the World Cup final, he still made 2 mistakes. He's just not... I still stand by my point I made when Lloris was done for drink driving. He should have been stripped to the captaincy there and then. What kind of leadership is it that when your team needs you to have any sort of composure, you literally throw the ball, you roll the ball out to the opponent? Honestly, I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. Ben Davies has been here for donkey's years and we're still dealing with the same fucking bullshit from him. Yeah, the midfield's all right, but Basuma can't play in a 2-man midfield. He's not creative enough. Brian Hill looked good. Son and Kane, I don't know what the fuck's going on with them. If you don't want to be here, then just go. Just go. I'm fed up of it. I'm really fed up of having players sitting there not trying, not acting. Son threw his mask off in a strop. You're the one playing fucking shit. Don't fucking start stropping in front of the fans. You're the one who's playing shit. And whether I did a TikTok, right, which is currently set on 30,000 views about 2 days, about I think 29th of December. And Conte was talking about how Spurs' transfer policy doesn't match his and how he doesn't feel that the club match his vision, and he can't say anything else because he signed a contract, but he doesn't really feel like it fits or benefits him. I think Conte's gone. I think he's made it clear to the players he's going to go, and he's just seen out of his contract. Now, if he's going to do that, after the way we played today, the fact that our last 10 games we've gone behind, 2-0 down to Brentford, 2-0 down to Manchester United, 2-0 down to Newcastle, it's a fucking joke. An absolute joke. And we're going to keep playing like this. The system isn't fitting these players. He has to go. Because if the board aren't going to buy him the players he wants to play the way he plays, and he's going to keep playing the same way, which is going to keep drilling us into the ground, and I'm sorry, we can't do this anymore. Arsenal are 7 points clear top of the league, a board notoriously that don't spend. The fans protested for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And what have they done? They're backed an Arteta, who really and truly was Guardiola's assistant and nothing more in the managerial world. They backed him 3 years in a row. They backed his decision with Aubameyang. They backed his decision just to give Granit Xhaka a second chance. They backed every single one of Arteta's decisions, what he wanted in the market, how he handled individual players, and now they're 7 points clear top of the league, and Manchester City can't catch them. So if we're not going to give, and Spurs might be like, you know what, we don't want to give that kind of backing and that kind of investment to a manager who doesn't play the Spurs way, which, by the way, the Spurs way of the last 20 years has been shit. So if Spurs' attitude, if Daniel Levy's attitude is, well, I don't want to back a manager who doesn't play attractive football, don't appoint a manager who doesn't play attractive football. Or stop using it as a fucking excuse. Come out and say, you know what? We don't want to spend. We want to continue to invest in the infrastructure. We're not really bothered about the results on a pitch. And I guarantee you, the fans will be outside that stadium protesting louder and louder every fucking day. Because we can't keep doing this. Newcastle have had 2 years and 1 year of new owners and two transfer windows where they've smartly signed players. I guarantee you there'll be bids in for Maddison again in January for Newcastle. You know, I can't begin to express my frustration and my anger towards it. And I understand it, right? It's not Conte's fault because the board have made the decisions, the owners have made the decisions, they're the ones that choose to spend or not. Don't sign a fucking contract unless you get it in writing that you're having a certain amount to spend over a certain amount of time. We've got the Champions League coming up in February, which we're going to crash and burn whoever the manager is. But if we're going to make a change, I would rather make it now. Conte absolutely 100% not signing a new contract unless he gets, let's say, £90 million in January. And Spurs aren't definitely going to, absolutely 100%. They sit with him today and go, look, Conte, Antonio, mate, we are not giving you £90 million. You're going to get 30 and that's it. And Conte goes, well, I want 90 and I'm not signing a new contract in the summer. That's where Spurs should be saying, okay, do you know what then? We'll pay you, you're due to get, I don't know, 8 million between now and the rest of the year. We'll give you 3 million as a compensation. You can bugger off and manage a club that actually are ambitious and we'll bring someone in who's going to sit there being a yes man who doesn't give a shit about investment and whatnot. You know? Now, it's frustrating for me because my top 3 choices probably to, or at least definitely my top 2 choices to replace Antonio Conte that would have been there this time last year if we were having this conversation are no longer available. And I'm going to talk about, because on that TikTok that took off the other day, so many people commenting about different types of managers, but couldn't seem to understand that those managers would have the exact same problem as Antonio Conte. His record is not bad. It's not bad. You know, we play good football when it works, but it's not working often enough. It's just not for me. And I don't know if we can sit there and justify a manager wasting the next 6 months. That could be the end for Harry Kane at Tottenham. And it probably will be, to be honest, because whoever we're going to bring in is not going to be good enough for Harry Kane. It's not going to be a world-class manager. And don't get me wrong, Kane is a lot to blame with it. And I still stand by the point I made last year that he's had opportunities to win trophies and not turned up himself. But ultimately, I just can't sit there. Like, I'm not saying this is all Antonio Conte's fault, right? The board and the owners have played a massive part of the issues with this club since the minute they put pen to paper and were sold by and bought the club from Alan Sugar. But ultimately, Antonio Conte still signed the contract. He still knew what he was getting in for, and he still played a way which requires a certain caliber of players, knowing we don't have that, knowing we're not going to buy that, and I just don't understand why they feel the need. Well, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. So for me now, Conte's not going to get the money he wants. That's made clear. So let him go. Let him go. Give him his compensation package. It's not going to be much. It's 6 months worth. Let him go. There's going to be protests. There's going to be riots. It's going to kick off because the fans are not going to have this. But the energy should be as more towards the owners and Daniel Levy than Conte. But ultimately, Conte is still byproduct of that because whether you sign a contract or not, fuck the money. You don't need the money. Come out and publicly slate these people that aren't giving you what you were promised. Or if you weren't promised it and you were expecting it but didn't get it in writing and now you haven't got it, that's your own fucking fault. On to my candidates to replace Conte. My first choice 18 months ago would have been Ten Hag. But having seen the amount of money he's taken to rebuild the Spurs team, in hindsight, never take the job anyway. Even if he wasn't at Man United, but he definitely isn't leaving Man United now. My second choice, until he signed a contract a few weeks ago, would have been Thomas Frank. I think he's got the right charisma. I think he gets a lot out of a bad bunch, which is what Spurs need right now. And whether or not he'd be more than a 2 or 3 year manager, I don't know. But it would allow us to stabilise the ship. It would allow us to get a bit of consistency while not spending, because realistically, we're just not going to spend the money that we need to revitalise the Spurs squad. And then go from there, basically. I think for me that would be where I would have gone. A lot of comments, a lot of people have said Thomas Tuchel. For me personally, like a lot of people have pointed out, he was a Spurs fan as a kid. That's all well and good, but he fell out with the Dortmund board. He fell out with a PSG board. He fell out with a Chelsea board. He's not even going to make it in a door at Spurs before there's arguments. And I just don't want the drama anymore. And I'm getting to the point now, honestly, where the owners are so set in their ways that I would rather have a yes man who just shuts the fuck up and deals with it than going back to dealing with someone who's vocal, because the club aren't going to listen anyway. If I read back through this TikTok at the other suggestions of managers people have made, I'll talk about that one in a second. A lot of people said Thomas Tuchel, which again, there's just no logic to that whatsoever. Someone said get Mikel Arteta. I'm good. And obviously the logical one, and the manager I do think we'll end up with, whether it's now or whether it's 6 months' time, is Mauricio Pochettino. Now, I'm not going to be stupid. There are some benefits to having Pochettino back, right? You go back to a 4-2-3-1. You go to Lloris in goal, unfortunately. You go to Perisic, Langley, Romero, and probably Spence. I think Pochettino would give Spence a chance. You go to Bentancur and Højbjerg in midfield. You go to Son off the left, Kulusevski off the right, Kane in the 10, because we don't have another creative player, and then Richarlison up front. And I think that would be stable for Pochettino. However, my argument to all this is Pochettino was a manager the fans loved, the club loved, and they sacked him rather than have a gut job. Now, I'm not going to say Pochettino was a saint at Spurs, because he wasn't. He wasted money on Lo Celso and Ndombele, so many other players in the past. But he was a manager that the fans got behind, even until the bitter end. It took me a while to be Poch out, to be honest. It wasn't until the Bayern game, or maybe the game before that, which in the end he was sacked after the Bayern game anyway. So for me personally, I don't want him back, right? Because if he comes back, we're going to repeat the same cycle. It'll be 6 months of good football. The players will burn out, injuries left, right, and centre, no investment, and it's going to go the same way. But I think that's what the club are going to do anyway. I would like us to look at the sporting manager, but for me, I don't see him potentially. I don't see him leaving Sporting at the moment. I believe he only recently signed a new contract as well. Graham Potter's gone, who would have been my third choice for Spurs. Obviously, he's at Chelsea now. I do like the look of the new Brighton manager, but it is too early to tell about what he's going to do in the Premier League to determine whether or not it'd be a worthy move for Spurs. I think no matter who you bring in now, unless you're going and getting Guardiola, which is not going to happen, Jurgen Klopp, which is not going to happen, I don't see Harry Kane or Heung-min Son staying past the summer. It breaks my heart to see the entire Spurs team completely and utterly shatter, but I don't see a way in which they look at this club and go, actually, this is where I want to spend my future. Let me know who you think as a Spurs replacement. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this. Glory Hunter season 2 will be dropping in a couple of days. I've just got to finish the thumbnails, and then the first 2 episodes will go up. It's my birthday soon as well, which is great. Like I said before, hope you guys had a good Christmas. Hope you had a good New Year. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. The aim is a minimum of 500 subscribers by this time next year. So let's get on that chain. We can get it sorted, get it done. And I'll catch you for the first time in 2023. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.